Hey, happy Friday. I'm Candace Scalise from the CBS 21 Newsroom. You're watching 21 Next, and we're diving a little deeper into a story where somebody has obtained a lawyer after there was some video that circulated and went viral of police, I would say, arresting them in downtown Harrisburg. Maxine Rose has been digging deeper into this story, giving us a little bit of background and what's happening now. So tell us a little bit about this video that we're going to watch right here.
Yeah, so Candace, this video is from March. Many of you probably remember seeing this, as you said, viral, right? Went all around all the social media platforms. You can see that person there in the green. That is Carter Birch. He is being talked to by the owner of the nightclub Nocturnal down on 2nd Street. And as you can see, Harrisburg police then came right in, dragging him by his neck there and then arresting him. So Carter received, a lot of injuries from this. He went to the hospital as a result, and now is doing fine physically. But his lawyer tells me today, of course, that there's a lot of emotional trauma here to be treated in that manner is what he's claiming. And so this lawsuit that has now been filed just this week really outlines everything he's claiming happened, led up to that point. And the lawyer talked to me today about why it's so important to file this lawsuit for them, why they believe this is important for the community, and really making it clear here that this is not something that they're doing for money. This is something they say they're doing for more accountability here in Harrisburg.
Yeah, it's really interesting to watch this video. We've showed it before, but we have always blurred the face of the now defendant in this case, or I guess the prosecution, because he's suing.
The plaintiff. Yeah.
So it's interesting to watch, not blurred, to see it all in full. Now, we can't hear it, so we don't know what he's saying. We don't know what the nightclub owner is saying to him. It sounds like the nightclub owner is basically saying you need to go to the other side of the street. It sounds like he might be talking back. And then you see all of the physical stuff.
Yeah.
Did the lawyer talk anything about that? Like, what led up to these events?
Yes, so he did. First of all, there is sound, but we obviously have to be very careful. There's a lot of, swearing and whatnot, as you can imagine. But essentially what the lawsuit outlines is that Carter and his sister and a friend were at the Nocturnal nightclub. And long story short, there was some misunderstanding. Now, anyone who's curious in kind of the story behind that, we did a story on that. We heard from Isabella, who is his sister. But we also, we also talked about kind of that, there was this misunderstanding, and flash forward, all of a sudden he's being kicked out. Says he complied, he stepped out, but then he was standing on the sidewalk there, which this is an interesting piece here because the lawsuit states he was out on the public sidewalk. And I know that there have been some conversations about, well, it's right outside of Nocturnal nightclub, and so therefore it is still considered Nocturnal nightclub's kind of property. So there was back and forth there. So that's an interesting thing there. Anyway, he was on the public sidewalk waiting for his sister, who needed to get her coat inside. And, that's when they say the owner came out, yelled at them, saying essentially, get the F out or something along those lines. And then police had, I guess, from what we understand, police had overheard that kind of confrontation.
And they
jumped in. Yeah. And so, it kind of describes, you could see they have like bottles of spray in their hand.
Yeah, that they're holding. And is this St. Patrick's Day weekend when all of this happens?
Yeah, sorry, I did forget to mention. Yeah, you can kind of tell by those, what he's wearing.
With all the green. Yeah. From what I remembered. I think it's so Sue says cop needs to pay no need to touch him and push him into traffic. I thought that too, Sue. I mean, it's kind of hard to watch, honestly, because you can see him talking. And since we aren't able to play the audio due to all the cursing and stuff like that, when the police officer first pushes him, I was like, whoa, like that was really intense. Yeah. We don't, of course, in the lawsuit.
I'm sorry, go
Sorry.
ahead.
I was
No,
just saying,
so
according to the lawsuit, there's stuff leading up to this, right? So
yeah,
obviously this has transpired, but it does seem from an outsider's perspective like that
right.
was pretty intense.
Right. And what I was going to say is, yes, we have that reaction, but of course, so did so many other people. And that's why we have, Marley Taylor taking this video. And then we have Grant Osterland, taking another. People were obviously standing around and watching as this unfolded. And
well, and is that his sister with the blonde hair who runs into the
yes,
street after
yeah,
him?
yep.
Okay.
And she is named in the lawsuit as well, just stating that she was there and she was involved.
Sure.
She tried to get involved there. So I want to talk about also the people who were named in here, speaking of the officers in particular.
Yeah, because I want to hear from the police's side as well.
Yeah, of course we want to. At this point, the city says that it's not going to speak.
They're not saying anything because it's pending litigation.
Exactly. And actually at this point, Candace, they haven't even been served. It hasn't, received.
Oh, so this is just like a brand new lawsuit that's out there. This has not been served to the city. This is still in the early phases.
Yes, exactly. So, but why I want to talk about the officers here, or what the people who are named in here, is because of the officers. Okay. So the officers who are named include Officer Mark Howell, Officer Esteban Restrepo, and there's a female in this too. I'm forgetting her first name now, but Officer Kreiser. So you can see, the two of them there. And so the reason why their names are so important here is because this is actually one of multiple lawsuits that have been filed or in the process of being filed against those officers in particular. So Mark Howell and Esteban Restrepo are really the key ones here.
Okay. So two of the men. Wow, that's really interesting. Joan said cop pushed the woman too that was coming up. It looks like excessive force to me on the cop's part. Yeah, I think it's hard to watch because you see the conversation happening, and then not only is the kid or man pushed, but then he's pushed into traffic, which is scary in itself too, because especially on a holiday weekend or like on St. Patty's Day, you don't know who's driving, So we have a lot more information on our website if you go to cbs21.com, because you did this story, or some of our reporters did this story right when it came out. And so now we have more information about the man who is suing the hospital, or excuse me, I don't know why I said hospital, the police officers as well. What is there anything about this story that surprised you, or anything that you want to talk about when you spoke to the lawyer today?
Yes. So there is a reason why Police Commissioner Thomas Carter is also named in this lawsuit. Okay. And that goes back to my point that I was saying earlier with the two officers that, are now receiving these use of force complaints, or, they're being named really now. We've seen several videos kind of go around too. So, we're working on that. But it's essentially the point here from the lawyer's perspective is to hold them accountable, because ultimately, Harrisburg police are very aware of all of the use of force allegations that may come in. And so they feel as though Police Commissioner Thomas Carter kind of let this happen, essentially.
By not disciplining prior to this.
Yeah, they're kind of claiming that there was, we don't know what happens to their personnel. Like, any personnel matter, the city won't share with us. So, we don't know if they've ever been put on leave. We don't know if they've been suspended. We don't know any of that. However, obviously, they are still out on the streets working away. People have said that they've still seen them out. So what they're saying is, police commissioner should have done something sooner and essentially let this happen, and kept putting them, on 2nd Street of all places, which we know, especially recently, has been having a lot of issues. So continuing to put them on there, and especially on a holiday weekend as well. So, it'll be interesting to see how they respond to this. Sure. We know from a previous lawsuit that was actually filed in March, so the same month that this whole thing happened, against those two police officers, the Harrisburg had replied saying, this did not happen, deny, deny, deny.
Oh.
So we are expecting essentially that this will it'll probably answer very similarly. But with these continuing to come in, what does happen next?
Yeah, that's a good question. So we have this lawsuit now. The city has not responded because it has not been served to the police officers or police department. What charges is this guy facing when he was arrested?
So, yeah, great question. He was facing disorderly conduct, drunken disorderly conduct.
Drunk in public or something like that?
Yeah, I mean, holiday weekend, whatever. So we now know, and the lawyer also confirms, of course, those charges have been dismissed.
Got it. Interesting. Okay.
So
yeah, really interesting story here. I'm so curious to see what the city does, what the police officers, once this lawsuit is handed over. It'll be really interesting to see how this transpires. And just watching the video for the first time without having to blur any faces, because now we have permission from the lawyer. We have the lawsuit. We have basically their full story from one side. We don't have the police officer's side or the nocturnal nightclub manager's side either. Is the nightclub the manager or whomever from Nocturnal, the man we see speaking to this guy initially, is he in the lawsuit at all?
I mean, he's named once, right, as the owner who comes out and says, this is what happened. I'm pretty sure. I have to double check that actually now that you say that, but I'm pretty sure that he is named, but we have not heard from him.
Okay.
So
what you said about the sidewalk was so interesting too, because you do think of a sidewalk as public property, and it looks like the guy is saying, listen, I'm out of the club. I'm right here. I'm on the sidewalk.
Right. I walked out. You told me to walk out. I walked out.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thank you, Maxine. That's really interesting. Anything else you want to add before we wrap things up? And I know we have to do the news at 5 and 6, but
no, yes, the shows, right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it would just be interesting to hear from people what your reactions were when you were watching that. We spoke with people when this first became popular, I guess, on social media, but it'll be interesting to kind of hear what people have to say and what the conversation is really looking like. What is the next step for this police department?
Yeah, that's very interesting. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it, Maxine. Maxine Rose reporting on this for us, trying to get all of the answers from both sides here. But right now we have the lawsuit and that video to show you. So you'll see more of that tonight at 5 and 6. We also have it, as you saw earlier, on our website, cbs21.com. For now, we're going to sign off. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time. 21 Next.
Yeah.